Sometimes I hate my PC. The stream is struggling? Oh, yeah. Oh, it's struggling. And so am I inside. My PC has been dying for the past couple of days, and I don't know why, but it's just suddenly started, and I don't like it. VTube Studio is not responding, but the window is up, so it should be up and running shortly. So everyone, how's everyone doing? Oh, good heavens. Just chilling on fucking Star Rail. Maybe you wanna call an IT guy or something? Nah. To be fair though, Shesh, I am the IT guy. Oh man, my voice, 1 second. Gotta love it when even my throat doesn't work properly. It's fabulous. I'm good, just finishing platining a game. Ooh, what game you platining? No! Oh my god! I can't believe this has just happened. I need to show this. Work, it would be fabulous. PC, come on. Why is the model on when I turn it off? I probably didn't turn it off in this specific one. Oh, everything doesn't want to work today. OBS is not responding. I don't know if you guys can see this on the stream. I'm just gonna close, I'm gonna close Opera. And I'm gonna close that. I'm trying to close things down, seems to not be working. But yeah, guys, I thought I had Firefly and I lost the 50-50! Yay. Unfortunately, I got Himiko. I don't even use Himiko! I'm gonna go fucking insane. Yeah, for some reason my fucking... I need to turn that off. Thank you. But yeah, this is great. This is great. Fabulous. I need to switch my account on my phone. Okay, I've now got the stream up on my phone. Because I don't really want to waste space or whatever it is on my PC. If my PC is just gonna be a fucking nightmare. Oh my god, guys. I can't believe I lost the 50-50 on the last hour, the last 40 minutes of the Firefly banner. Are you kidding me? E6 Himiko, not bad. Fuck no, I don't want fucking E6 Himiko. I want E0 fucking Firefly. For fuck's sake. I've literally been grinding out this fucking game all morning. Just so I can try and get Firefly on my main. Fucking E1. E1 Himiko. And yes, I am trying to level up and do shit with Sampo because 1, he's hot, and 2, he's also another wind or whatever that green thing is, like Dunhung. So I'm leveling his shit up because I got nothing else better to do. I don't have Firefly to do that shit with. So yeah, it's great. Okay, VTube Studio is open, sort of. It's just loading, I guess. But yeah, totally. But to be fair, I'm so glad I have Aventurine and Acheron and Boot Hill. I also have Topaz. But I needed Robin to complete my Aventurine setup. Because it's Aventurine, Dr. Ratio, Topaz, and Robin. So whenever Robin comes back out, she'll complete that set. I need Ruan Mei to complete, I think, a Boot Hill set. And I forgot who I need for an Acheron set. I forgot. But, yeah. Ah, god damn it. And yes, my name is still Uki on my main account. Oh god. Okay, well, I'm hoping that my thing is working now. Okay, oh my god, okay, well, you know, it is what it is. Is trying to pull a Firefly is putting a toll on you. I know. It shouldn't, but it does. But, yeah, we have like 35 minutes left until the banner finishes. So, it's just great. I'm gonna pop onto the Wei Ming account, actually, and do those things as well, just so that I can see if I can get any more Stellar Jades in the last 35 minutes. And yes, my PlayStation sounds like a jet engine at this point. Good heavens, guys. It always has to happen. Whenever I want something, I can't get something. Well, to be fair, I can't really say that when I've got basically Acheron, Aventurine, and Boot Hill on my main. But at the same time, I literally have nothing on my Wei Ming account. So it's kind of annoying to me because I need a good shielder and I need a level up march and stuff like that. I can't even. Let me just do this real quick and then we will continue to do the novel reading. I don't even remember where it was at. Yeah, go all in for those 35 minutes. Yeah. 35 minutes, right. So much time to get Firefly, yeah. Okay, where do I need to go? I'm basically just doing a daily mission real quick now that I have it, just so that I can get extra Stellar Jades. But yeah, where was we up to in the book? I can't even remember. I've got memory like a fish, so I have no idea where we was even at. Oh thank god I got Acheron in with that. So, Boot Hill, Acheron, Dr. Ratio, and... fuck it, I'm just gonna put Silver Wolf on that. Even though I don't have Silver Wolf. Lan got done punishing Wei. Ayo. But yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, I remember. I think we're on chapter 5 now as well. Okay, so yeah, we're on chapter 5 now. I think there's 2 more chapters after this. And then... we should be over on novel book 1. So yeah, we are on chapter 5, The Sunny Pair. Wei Wuxian had lain there like that on his stomach the entire night. The first half of the night was spent wondering what exactly happened to Lan Wangji, and it wasn't until the second half that he finally fell into a bleary sleep. Early the next morning, when he opened his eyes, Lan Wangji had already gone without a trace. He himself was laid out properly on the bed, both of his hands placed by his sides, arranged into a mannerly and respectable pose. So this is in the present, where he was trying to get his talisman and stuff like that, and Lan Wangji allowed him to lay on him to go to sleep. Wei Wuxian threw off the blanket covering him and tangled the fingers of his right hand in his hair. An unexplainable, absurd, and horrifying feeling plagued his mind, and it could not be dispersed. Just then, there were 2 soft knocks on the wooden door to the tranquility room. Lan Sijui's voice came from the other side. "Morgause, are you awake?" "What are you calling me so early for?" Wei Wuxian answered. "Early? But it's already seed time." Lan Sijui replied. The Lans all rose at Mo and rested at Hai. Extremely regular. Wei Wuxian rose at Si and rested at Chao, also very regular, and later than the Lan family by exactly 4 hours. He had lain on his stomach for half the night, and his back was aching. So he answered honestly, "I can't get up." What's wrong with you now?" Lan Sijui said. Or asked. Sorry, I can't even speak. "What's wrong with me? Your sect's Hangonjin made me sleep with him, that's what." Oh no, you should not say that! Oh no, you should not say that. Not to Sijui. The poor innocent child does not need to hear this. I need to read it again though, because it's funny. "What's wrong with me? Your sect's Hangonjin made me sleep with him, that's what," Wei Wuxian exclaimed. Lan Jingyi's truculent voice sounded out. "If you won't stop that nonsense of yours, I won't forgive you. Come out." Wei Wuxian cried out, aggrieved. "It's true! He forced me to sleep with him all night long. I'm not coming out. I'm too ashamed." I can't even with his goddamn shamelessness. It's crazy. The juniors looked at each other in dismay. Others were not to enter Hangonjin's living quarters. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but they had no way of going in directly to haul the man out. Lan Jingyi yelled angrily, "How shameless! Hangonjin isn't a cut sleeve. Him sleeping with you? If you weren't the one forcing yourself on him, he'd thank the heavens. Get up, take that donkey of yours away, and control it a little. It's so noisy." I can't believe that. Not a cut sleeve? You don't know Hangonjin very well then. Oh man. Okay, so I've got the Stellar Jades for that. That. Now I can do that one. We'll do that with that, and then I would use Robin, but she doesn't really do anything. So I'll just use Himeko now that we've got a fucking... Oh no, this is the other account, never mind. I don't know what I have her on this account. With the statement that you slept with another man, you might as well come out of the closet. Literally, you know? Like... Jesus. At this point, I don't think that Wei Wuxian realizes that Hangonjin is a cut sleeve either. I don't think he realizes himself that he is also a cut sleeve. It's crazy. Having heard his steed mentioned, Wei Wuxian quickly rolled out of bed. "What did you do to my little apple? Don't touch it, it throws tantrums. And its kicks are something fierce." "What little apple?" Lan Jingyi questioned. "My donkey," Wei Wuxian said, emerging from the tranquility room. He shooed the juniors until they took him to his stead. They led him to a green pasture where, sure enough, the spotted donkey was braying non-stop incredibly loud. What do I need to do now? Oh, there, okay. Do that. And then... do that. The reason it was braying was because it wanted to graze, but the pastor had over a dozen round white fluff balls crowding about, keeping it from eating. Wei Wuxian was delighted. So many rabbits! Come, come, come! Skewer and roast them! Oh my god. Lan Jingyi was going to explode. Killing is prohibited in the cloud recess. Shut that donkey up quickly. The morning study groups came to ask so many times already. Keep this up and we'll get lectured to death. Wei Wuxian fed it the apple from his breakfast, and sure enough, once the spotted donkey started chomping on the fruit, it no longer cared to bray, instead filling the air with crunching as it ground its lips. Wei Wuxian stroked the back of its neck, scheming about the junior's jade travel tokens. He pointed at the round white balls of rabbits. Can we really not roast them? Would I get kicked out of the mountain if I did? He's still trying to scheme it. Lan Jingyi was greatly alarmed and hastily opened his arms, blocking him. They're kept by Han Kongjun. We only watch them occasionally, don't you dare. Wei Wuxian almost fell to the ground laughing when he heard this, thinking, geez, this guy? He rejected the rabbits back when I tried to give them to him, and now he's secretly raised a whole horde? Don't want them? Who's he kidding? Good gods help me. He actually secretly likes those fluffy little white rabbits, right? That stiff-faced Han Kongjun holding a rabbit. Oh god, I just can't. But then he remembered how he had spent the previous night laying on top of him. I can't even. I'm making things up at this point. That stiff-faced Han Kongjun holding a rabbit. Oh god, I just can't. But then he remembered how he spent the previous night lying on top of Lan Wangji, and he suddenly couldn't laugh anymore. Yeah, I know. Just then, tolling bells sounded from the west side of the cloud recess. The sound of this bell was vastly different from the bell that marked the hours. It was hurried and intense, as if a madman who had lost his mind was pounding it. Lan Jingyi and Lan Sijui's faces fell drastically, and not bothering to joke around with him any longer, they ran off, leaving him. Wei Wuxian knew something was wrong and quickly followed after them. The sound of the bell had come from one of the corner watchtowers. This watchtower was called the Nether Room, and its walls had been fabricated from special material and sealed with spells. It was a building that lands used for summoning souls. When the bell atop this corner watchtower started tolling wildly, it meant only one thing. Whoever was conducting a soul summoning ritual inside had met with an accident. Whoa, that's an S rank? What? On my main account, I haven't had an S rank on the Stellar Shimmer, but on this account, for some unknown reason, I've had it. What the fuck is going on? Makes no fucking sense. What? Maybe I should use the same fucking characters on that. Okay, so I need Boot Hill, Imbibe de Lune, Firefly, and Dr. Ratio. I mean, not Firefly, Sparkle, and yeah, never mind. What the fuck? I can't believe that, it's crazy. Outside the corner watchtower, more and more Lan Juniors and sect disciples had gathered, but none dared recklessly enter. The entrance to the Nether Room was a set of pitch-black wooden doors that were firmly locked, and they could only be opened from the inside. Not only would it be difficult to break in from the outside, but it would also violate the rules. To have accidents happen during a soul-summoning ritual was a terrifying thing. No one knew what might come from the summoning, or what would happen should they recklessly enter. Furthermore, there had never been any failures in soul summoning since the establishment of the Nether Room, which made this even more distressing. Wei Wuxian noticed Lan Wangji didn't show up and felt a sense of foreboding. If Lan Wangji was still in the cloud recess, he should have come immediately when he heard the alarm bells go off. Unless... Suddenly the black doors burst open with a bang and a white-clad sect disciple came stumbling out. His steps were unsteady, and the moment he charged out, he rolled off the stairs. The doors to the Netherrealm closed on their own immediately after, slamming shut like they had been angered. The others hurried to help the sect disciple, but when he stood, he immediately slumped down again, his face streaming with uncontrollable tears. He clutched at whoever he could. It shouldn't have been summoned. Wei Wuxian seized his hand and demanded darkly, "What creature's soul are you guys summoning? Who else is in there? Where's Hangongjun?" This sect disciple seemed to have difficulty breathing. He opened his mouth. "Hangongjun told me to run." Before he finished, bright red blood gushed from his nose and his mouth. Wei Wuxian shoved this person into Lan Sijui's arms. The roughly made bamboo flute was still stuck on his waist. He ran up and made layered stairs. He ran up the many layered stairs in a few strides, then kicked the doors to the nether room and shouted bitingly, "Open!" The grand doors of the nether room opened abruptly, like they were laughing maniacally. Wei Wuxian swiftly ducked inside, and the grand doors closed immediately after him. Shocked, the sect disciples quickly rushed over too, but no matter how hard they tried, the doors would not budge. One of the guest cultivators pounded on the door in both shock and fury. He blurted out, "Who exactly was that?" Lan Sijui was carrying the sect disciple. He said, his teeth clenched, "Come give me a hand first. He's bleeding from his apertures." I don't know what that even means. The moment Wei Wuxian entered the nether room, he could sense an oppressive black energy assault his face. This black energy seemed to be a combination of resentment, anger, and madness. It was almost visible to the eye, and within its entrapment, the pressure caused a dull pain in his chest. The nether room was over 10 meters in length and width, and a few people lay slumped and unconscious in the four corners of the room. Within the array formation, in the center of the room, there stood the object of the soul summoning. Okay, that's ended. The challenge is done. Oh no, is it not done? Wow, I can't even finish that? Wait, I don't get it. Okay, I guess I have done it, it's just not doing anything. Okay, well, I'll do that. Run May, Dr. Ratio, and I guess March? To be fair though, Ruin May is... okay, I'll just do that instead anyway. Only an arm. There was nothing else. It was the one brought back from the Mo Manor. It stood upright like a stick. Its stump was planted in the ground while 4 of its fingers were clenched into a fist. The index finger pointed to the sky, appearing to point at someone in rage. The endless stream of black energy that filled the room seemed to be emitting from the arm. Those who participated in the soul summoning ritual had all either run away or collapsed. Only upon the presenting host's seat in the east corner was there one who sat upright and proper, Lan Wangji. Okay, that's done. we'll do that. Okay. An old guqin was laid out next to him. His hand wasn't on the strings, yet they vibrated and strummed continuously on their own. At first he seemed to be deep in thought, or perhaps he was focused on listening to something. Only when he noticed an intruder did he look up. Lan Wangji appeared unperturbed. Wei Wuxian couldn't tell what he was thinking. Lan Qiren, who had assumed a position in the array, had already collapsed. Just like that sect disciple who had run out of the nether room, he was bleeding from his apertures, and thoroughly unconscious. Wei Wuxian took over his position, swiftly stepping into the west seat. He pulled out the bamboo flute at his waist, raising it to his lips, matching Lan Wangji from the opposite end. That night at the Mo Manor, Wei Wuxian had perturbed the creature with his whistling before Lan Wangji struck it with guqin notes from afar, suppressing the arm because the two had unintentionally joined forces. Lan Wangji met his eyes, understood, and raised his hand. A series of notes strummed forth, and Wei Wuxian immediately joined his flute in harmony. The song they played was called Evocation. Using the corpse, a part of the corpse, or a beloved item of the deceased as the medium, the soul of the dead would come forth at the sound of the music. I'm so glad that these two are actually, like, making music together. It's great. Usually, only a segment was needed before the soul would appear within the array. Yet, though the two were almost done playing, still nothing heeded their call. Veins popped along the body of the arm. It seemed to be angered, and the oppressive feeling in the air became even thicker. If it had been someone else guarding the west side, they would have collapsed the pressure by now, as unable to escape the same bloody end as Lan Qiren. Inwardly, Wei Wuxian was alarmed. The idea that his duet of evocation with Lan Wangji still couldn't call forth the soul of the deceased was practically impossible, unless the soul of this deceased was split along with its corpse. It appeared that this good body was just a mite more tragic than him. Yeah, we will find out whose arm this is, and the reason why I don't like Jingong Yao. I really, really don't like Jingong Yao. To be fair, there's a lot of people that don't like him. Just gonna put that in there, and that in there. Okay, they can do that. Okay. It appeared that this... Oh no, I already fucking said that. I can't even. Back then, although Wei Wuxian's corpse had been ripped apart, at the very least his soul still remained intact. Since evocation was ineffective, Lan Wangji altered the melody that his fingers plucked and began playing a different song. This song was serene and peaceful, vastly different from the eerie, interrogative melody from earlier. It was titled Rest. Both these songs were widespread and renowned within the cultivation world. It wasn't suspicious for the average person to know the tunes, so Wei Wuxian very naturally joined in. The name of the Yiling Patriarch's ghostly flute was Chensing, and its mighty reputation was spread far and wide. At this moment, he joined in chorus using a bamboo flute and purposefully played with the ample errors. lacking breath, incredibly discordant to the ears. Lan Wangji had probably never played a duet with anyone so awful. After a while, finally unable to continue to play, as if nothing was the matter, Lan Wangji looked up at him with an expressionless face. Okay, now this is the last one. We've got 10 minutes until the thing starts, so that's good. Okay, that can be done now. Boom. With his thick skin, that's incredibly worded, Wei Wuxian pretended not to notice, letting the melody go further and further off tune. Just as he was about to continue playing, something bizarre suddenly occurred behind him. He turned his head to look and was instantly taken aback. Lan Qiren, who had already lost consciousness, was surprisingly sitting upright. Okay, I gotta also say, Lan Qiren has like a little thing in his mind thinking that this is actually Wei Wuxian. So, yeah. His face bleeding and smoking from all apertures, his goatee, his voice, and even his finger that was pointing at Wei Wuxian all shook as he cried hoarsely with all his might. "Stop playing! Get out! Get out now! Do not—" He didn't finish his instructions regarding what not to do before he spat out a mouthful of blood and he collapsed once more, sinking into oblivion anew. Lan Wangji commented, ... Wei Wuxian gaped. He knew what came after Lan Qiren's do not. Do not play anymore. Do not play a duet. Do not defile his beloved student Lan Wangji's music. Their Guqin and flute duet had actually forcibly roused Lan Qiren from anger alone, then forcibly knocked him out from anger alone, which made it apparent that how awful Wei Wuxian sounded. But even so, the arm still slowly drooped from the combined suppression of the flute and Guqin. Wei Wuxian, feeling no shame whatsoever, thought, if it sounds bad, it sounds bad, as long as it's effective. The last note of the strings came to a stop, and instantly the doors of the nether room sprang open. Sunlight spilling in. It was probably because the alarm bell atop the corner watchtower had stopped, that all the juniors and sect disciples who gathered outside the nether room came rushing in. All of a sudden, everyone was calling Hangongzun. Lan Wangji pressed his hand on the strings, stopping the lingering sound of the resonance, then stood up to go check on Lan Qiren's pulse. With him taking the lead, the others quickly calmed down. Several of the elders laid flat the ones inside the nether room who were bleeding, carrying out medical treatment. I now need to sort the Stellar J's out because I've now finished all of these now, so hopefully we should get a little bit more. Okay. That's done. How many Stellar Jades? Oh, we can get 2 maybe? Yeah, we can get 2. Almost 3 as well, shit. Okay. That's fine. Come on. Don't give me a 50-50. Just let me fucking get something, please. One more. Doctor, you're huge? Question mark? Nah. Didn't get anything. And we got 7 minutes to go. So unfortunately, still have yet to get Firefly. It is what it is. Kind of annoyed me, but either way, doesn't really matter. I'm a free-to-play player. It's not like I can do anything about that. It's great. Alright, while they applied acupuncture needles and administered medicine, another group of sect disciples came carrying a bronze bell with plans of trapping that arm inside it. While the scene was busy, everything was orderly, and no one clamoured nor made noise. Someone asked, concerned, Hangongzun, Neither the medical pills nor needles work. What should be done? Lan Wangji still had 3 fingers placed on Lan Qiren's pulse. Silent. Brows furrowed. Lan Qiren had conducted innumerable soul-summoning rituals involving no shortage of malicious ghosts and fierce spirits. But even he'd been injured by the backlash of resentful energy. It said much about just how dreadful the resentment of this ghost arm was. Resentment is in a league practically never seen before. Womp womp, yeah. One less teleport doable? Unfortunately, no. I have now spent all of the Stellar J's that I possibly can get in this banner. So unfortunately, we do not have Firefly. So yeah, it's great. Let me just switch to my main account now. But yeah, unfortunately, it is definitely a womp womp. We did not get Firefly or Ruan Mei. And here was me thinking that I could possibly get both of them. It's great. Okay, where was I? Wei Wuxian stuck the bamboo flute back on his waist and crouched down next to the bronze bell, stroking the golden characters engraved upon it. He was just thinking when he suddenly noticed Lan Siduri's downcast expression. What's wrong? Lan Siduri already knew he was no ordinary person. He said softly, somewhat hesitantly, "Just feeling a little guilty, that's all." "Guilty about what?" Wei Wuxian asked. "That ghost arm was coming for us," Lan Siduri said. Wei Wuxian smiled. "And how do you know that?" "Different grades of spirit attraction flags have different ways to draw them up, and different powers. The flags we drew back at the Mo estate only had a working radius of 2.5 kilometers, but that ghost arm was heavy with killing intent and consumed flesh and blood. If it had been within the working parameters from the start, with its level of aggression, the Mo estate wouldn't have been flowing with blood already, but it only appeared after we arrived, which means it must have been thrown into that location intentionally, at that precise time, by someone with malicious intent." "You've learned your lessons well. That's a pretty good analysis," Wei Wuxian said. Lan Siduri hung his head. "If that was the case, then we will probably have to take responsibility for the lives of the Mo estate. And now even Lan Shansheng and the others got mixed up in things, falling unconscious like this." After a brief moment of silence, Wei Wuxian patted his shoulder. "The one who should take responsibility isn't you guys, but whoever unleashed the ghost arm. There are some things in this world that can't be controlled." On the other end, Lan Wangji withdrew his hand, and the Lan members quickly asked after Lan Qiren. "Han Gongzhen, how is he?" Lan Wangji replied, "Trace the origins." "That's right." Wait, what? I can't even fucking read. Trace the origins? "That's right, trace the origins," Wei Wuxian said. "Naturally, once we find the complete corpse of this ghost arm and make clear its identity, there'll be a way to save them." Although Lan Jingyi already knew Wei Wuxian was definitely not a lunatic, he still couldn't help speaking to him in a berated tone. "You make it sound so easy. Its soul won't heed summoning, and after all this chaos, where do we even go looking?" "The northwest," Lan Wangji said. Lan Siduri asked curiously, "The northwest? Why the northwest, Han Gongzhen? Didn't it already point the way for for you all to see? Wei Wuxian said. Lan Jingyi was confused. Point the way for us? Who? Heng Ganzhen didn't point at anything. It did, Wei Wuxian said. Only then did the group discover what he meant was the ghost arm. That arm was firmly pointing in a particular direction. Someone tried changing its position, but it resolutely turned back around, returning to the original direction. No one who had ever witnessed such a situation before, and all were stunned. Lan Jingyi stammered, What is it pointing at? What else could it be pointing at? Wei Wuxian said. It's either the rest of its body parts, or the perp who left it like this. Having heard this, the youths who had just so happened to be standing in the northwest quickly scurried away. Then, Lan Wangji glanced at Wei Wuxian, then slowly rose to his feet. He turned to the sect disciples. Settle Shufu properly. The disciples nodded. Yes, sir. Will you be descending the mountain then? As Lan Wangji gave a little nod, Wei Wuxian had already snuck behind him, vocally talking to himself, sounding very pleased. Good, good, good. Now we can finally go down the mountain and elope. Wait, what? Oh my god, Wei Wuxian. So funny. The group grimaced, and the other sect disciples were especially horrified, and the few youths were more or less used to it now. There was only Lan Qiren on the ground, whose face seemed to have twitched subconsciously. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Oh my god, Wei Wuxian. I can't take him seriously. It's so funny. Wait, how actually big is chapter 5? I forgot. Wait, there's a picture. What picture is it? Ah, I remember this. Well, it's actually not that large, to be fair. Maybe you'll be able to do it in this stream. Ooh. A thought came to all of them. Maybe if that person talks a bit more, Lan Xiancheng will be awake again. When I can't even speak. When leaders of prominent cultivation clans joined night hunts, there was often great fanfare with ample pomp. However, Lan Wangji had always preferred coming and going alone. In addition, this arm was evil and strange, and it could easily harm others should there be a slightest carelessness, and so he brought neither clan juniors nor sect disciples with him, only Wei Wuxian. The watch kept on him. Wait, what? The watch kept on him was keener than ever. At first, Wei Wuxian wanted to sneak off when they descended the mountain for investigation, but the end result of his many attempts at escape en route all involved getting dragged back by the collar by Lan Wangji. He changed tactics and tried very hard to stick and cling to Lan Wangji, especially at night. He'd climb into Lan Wangji's bed, come hell or high water, hoping Lan Wangji would quickly strike him away with his sword in disgust. But no matter the fits he threw, Lan Wangji was still unmoved. Every time Wei Wuxian burrowed into his blankets, he'd even give Wei Wuxian a gentle tap, petrifying him. Then he would tuck Wei Wuxian into another set of blankets and arranged him into a proper sleeping position until morning. Wei Wuxian fell for it multiple times, and every time he'd waken up groaning with a sore back and weak legs. He couldn't help but think, this guy's so much less interesting now that he's grown. When I teased him in the past, he knew how to be shy and hilariously so too. Now not only is he completely unaffected, but he's even learned to retaliate. Absolutely ridiculous. Well, how can you expect him to retaliate when you're literally climbing onto him to sleep? like, teasing him like that, how is he supposed to, like, cope? Come on. Following the direction indicated by the left arm, the two headed northwest. They had to play a duet of rest every day to temporarily pacify the arm's anger and killing intent. Wushen trying to sneak off, but forgot to take Lan with him, eloped them it. Trust me! They're already fucking married at this fucking point. As they neared to the area of Qinghe, the pointing gesture the arm had maintained for a long time suddenly changed. It withdrew its fingers and clenched them into a fist. This meant that what his hand was pointing at was nearby. They visited various places as they journeyed, and finally came to a small city in Qinghe. It was the middle of the day, and the streets were full of people coming and going, lively and bustling. Wei Wuxian kicked and stomped as he followed behind Lan Wangji. Suddenly, a sharp scent of rough, rogue in powder hit them in the face. Having gotten used to Lan Wangji's light, refreshing scent of sandalwood, after this smell assaulted him, Wei Wuxian blurted out, "What do you sell? What's this smell?" The scent came from a scammy-looking quack? Really? Scammy-looking quack doctor dressed in a Taoist robe. He had a chest carried on his back and was selling little trinkets to passerby. When he saw someone was making inquiries, he was delighted. "I sell everything. Rogue, powder, exquisite and cheap. Won't Gonzo take a look?" "Sure, I'll take a look," Wei Wuxian said. "For your wife at home?" the dog asked. Wei Wuxian smiled. "For myself." He wants him to retaliate to Wuxian climbing on Lan by having Lan climb on. Now that's... yes. Yes. For an absolute fact, yes. The dog's smile froze, and the thought crossed his mind. "You playing me?" Before he could blow up, another man came halfway and said expressionlessly, "Do not play around if you are not going to buy." This man was exceptionally handsome and refined. His robes and forehead ribbon was withered than snow. His eyes were pale in hue, and a long sword hung on his waist. The doctor was a fake cultivator. He had some half-baked knowledge of the prominent cultivation clans, and recognized the insignia of the Lan clan of Gusu, didn't dare to act rashly. He tugged on the straps of his chest and ran off. Wei Wuxian called after him, "What are you running for? I was really gonna buy some." "Do you have the money?" Lan Wangji asked. Wei Wuxian replied, "Well, give me some then." You can't just say that to someone. You can't just say, "Give me some money then." I can't even. Wei Wuxian. I can't. Oh my god. As he said this, he reached into Lan Wangji's robes. Oh no. He's even getting it himself. What the fuck? He hadn't expected to dig out anything at first, but after feeling around for a bit, he really did manage to pull out an exquisite and heavy little money pouch. This didn't look like anything Lan Wangji would carry on his person at all, but after so many days, there were more than one or two things about him that perplexed Wei Wuxian. Unbothered by the odd sight, he grabbed the money pouch and walked away. Sure enough, Lan Wangji let him take it without a single word of complaint. If Wei Wuxian hadn't thought he knew a little bit about Lan Wangji's character and insistence on purity, and with Han Gunjun's terrifyingly impeccable reputation on top of that, he would almost have suspected there was some sort of romantic entanglement between Lan Wangji and Mo San Yu. No, it's between you and him. What the fuck? How else could Lan Wangji still endure it, when he'd been this insufferable? After having walking a stretch, Wei Wuxian unconsciously looked back. I keep on forgetting that. Wei Wuxian doesn't exactly know that Lan Wangji knows who he is yet. Okay. Lan Wangji was left way behind, still standing in the same spot watching him. Wei Wuxian unconsciously slowed down. For some reason, he vaguely felt that maybe he shouldn't be walking this fast, and that maybe he shouldn't leave Lan Wangji behind like this. Just then, someone called out next to him, "The Yearling Patriarch, 5 pennies a sheet, 10 for 3. Wei Wuxian blurted out, "Who?" He hurried over to see who it was. He hurried over to see who it was that was selling him, and it was indeed the fake cultivator quack doctor from earlier. The man had picked up the poor quality cosmetics and changed to a stack of posters, painted with devils looking as fierce and savage as threshold guardians, ferocious deities that guarded entryways. He rattled on. 5 pennies a sheet, 10 for 3. It's a good price. No cheat. 3 sheets are perfect. One for the main entrance, one for the main hall, and the last one at the head of the bed. Really? Heavily ominous, thick with wickedness, fight evil with evil. Fight poison with poison. No nefarious creatures will dare come close, guaranteed. What is this bull? Wei Wuxian exclaimed. If it really is that effective, why are you selling a sheet for 5 pennies? You again? If you're not buying, then leave, the doc said. If you want to spend 50 pennies to buy one, I won't stop you. Wei Wuxian flipped through the stack of portraits of Yearling Patriarch, the vanquisher of evil. He really could not tolerate the idea that this green-faced, teeth-baring, burly man with bulging eyes and popping veins was himself. He argued with the power of logic. Wei Wuxian was renowned as a beautiful man. What the heck is this drawing? Don't just draw whatever if you've never seen the man himself before. It's misleading. The doc was just about to speak when Wei Wuxian suddenly felt a threatening wind behind him. He swiftly dodged. The quack doctor was sent flying and crashing into someone else's pinwheel stall. Some people helped him to his feet while others helped pick up the mess. It was a fury of chaos. I think that was Hanglunchen. The doc had wanted to swear at first, but when he saw the one who had kicked him was a little young master decked in shimmering gold all over, obviously either wealthy or noble, his courage was cut in half. Then when he saw it was the white peony sparks and mist snow embroidered on the young master's chest, he lost his confidence completely. But he still refused to be kicked for no good reason, so he complained meekly. "Why did you kick me?" That little young master was indeed Jin Ling. Oh my god, Jin Ling kicked him? Oh my god, that's funny as fuck. That is funny. Jin Ling defending Wei Wuxian. Yo, I'm all for it. He said coldly with his arms crossed. "Kick you? Anyone who dares mention the name Wei Wuxian in front of me should kneel and thank their lucky stars that I didn't kill them. You were hollering and making a heck of a racket on the streets too. You were asking for it." Wei Wuxian had never expected Jin Ling to appear in this place, and never imagined he'd act so bossy too. He thought to himself, what is going on with this child's temper? So hot-headed and belligerent, arrogant, spoiled, and looking down on everyone. He's thoroughly inherited everything bad about his uncle and father, and nothing good from his mother. If I don't knock him down a couple of notches, he'll be at a huge disadvantage in the future. So yeah, His uncle is the angry grape. His father, he's an annoying peacock. And his mother is, like, the best. The best. Absolutely. The best. Seeing how Jinling didn't appear to have spent all of his anger and was walking threateningly towards the man on the ground, Wei Wuxian interrupted him. Jinling! That doctor didn't dare to make a sound, but his eyes were beaming with 1,000 thanks. Sure enough, Jinling turned to Wei Wuxian. He said disdainfully, You haven't run away yet? Just as well. Wei Wuxian laughed. Gee, I wonder who it was last time that got pinned to the ground unable to get up. Jinling scoffed and blew a short whistle. Wei Wuxian didn't understand what that meant at first, but a brief moment later, the sound of a heavy, panting beast could be heard in the distance. When he turned his head to look, a black-haired spirit dog, half the size of a man, emerged from around the street corner, running straight for him. The alarmed screams down the long street came closer and closer, louder and louder. A vicious dog on the loose! Long Angry Grape, what a name. That's literally his nickname. A lot of people have noticed as well. Also, the reason why this whole dog scene is happening is because ever since Wei Wuxian was a child, he's been afraid of dogs. So he's got like a phobia of dogs, basically. So he really, really is terrified of dogs. Thankfully he has Hangul Jun to protect him. Wei Wuxian's face abruptly changed colour and he bolted, as embarrassing tale and tell, but for all of his presumptuous claims of being invincible, the Yiling patriarch was actually scared of dogs. It couldn't be helped. When he was younger, before he was found by Zhang Fangmian, he had lived on the streets, and often had no choice but to steal food from the mouths of vicious hounds. He had suffered greatly and plentifully from all the biting, tearing, and chasing, and gradually became terrified of all canines, big or small. Zhang Cheng had often laughed at him for that. Not only was this embarrassing to tell, but not many believed it either, so it wasn't a widely known fact. Wei Wuxian was practically scared witless. A tall, graceful white figure entered his vision all of a sudden, and he quickly let out a distressed cry. Lan Chan, save me! When Jinling saw Lan Wangji after giving chase, his face drained of colour. Why is that lunatic with him again? Lan Wangji was a stern, taciturn man. Those of his generation within the cultivation world often felt trepidated at the sight of him, never mind the juniors. His power of intimidation was equal to, or more than, that of Lan Qiren, back in his era. That dog of Jinling's was no ordinary dog. It had been strictly trained and was exceptionally intelligent. It also seemed to know that it could not behave atrociously in front of this man, so it howled a few times before hiding behind Jinling, with its tail between its legs. Yeah, when it comes into play with Lan Wangji, even a dog is petrified of him. And yes, Wei Wuxian still fell in love with him. It's great. This black-haired spirit dog was a rare breed that Jingong Yao had gifted Jinling. Ordinarily, when people heard it was a gift from Lian Fengzhen, I hate him so much, no one would dare affront it. Unfortunately, Lan Wangji was no ordinary person. He didn't care whose gift it was. The one who let the dog loose would be punished as was fit, severely and without leniency. Jinling had been caught letting the dog loose in the streets and caught giving chase, and his heart sank. He thought inwardly, I'm dead. He'll have the spirit dog I worked so hard to train killed, then teach me a harsh lesson. Yet who would have believed the sight of Wei Wuxian shoving himself under Lan Wangji's arm, drilling around to his back, and desperately trying to climb up his tall and graceful pole. Ayo? It would be best if he could reach the sky. With Wei Wuxian's arms encircling him, Lan Wangji seemed to have frozen solid. Using this chance, Jinling blew another short whistles and fled with his black-haired spirit dog. The reason why he's frozen still is because he really can't believe that's Wei Wuxian is on him right now. Wuxian be like the enemy of the enemies, my lover. Ooh. Technically, they were never enemies, but I get what you mean. Like, technically, they weren't even friends at the beginning. They were just students that knew each other back then, and Wei Wuxian liked to tease him a little. He wanted to be his friend, but Lan Wangji wanted to be more than that, and hated the sight of him flirting or being close to other people. But yeah, it's crazy. On the ground next to them, that doctor struggled to his feet. He said, still feeling lingering fear, public morality is declining by the day. The descendants of prominent clans are awful, just awful. Wei Wuxian listened to the barking of the dog disappear into the distance, then also emerged from behind Lan Wangji's back, agreeing with his hands folded behind him like nothing had happened. Indeed, public morality is declining by the day. Nothing is what it used to be. That doc now saw him as his saviour and quickly agreed. To demonstrate his gratitude, he tossed the stack of portraits of the Yiling Patriarch, the vanquisher of evil posters, into Wei Wuxian's hands like a hot potato. Brother, thanks so much for earlier. Take this as my thanks. If you sell them at a discount, 3 pennies a sheet, you can make a profit of at least 300. Lan Wangji glanced at the burly man with the green face and bared teeth and gave no comment. Wei Wuxian didn't know whether to laugh or cry at how his value was getting marked down cheaper and cheaper. Is this your thank you gift? If you really want to thank me, draw him better looking. Stop. Don't go. I've something to ask. While doing business here, have you heard of any strange occurrences? Or seen anything odd? Strange occurrences? You've asked the right person, the doc said. This humble one has resided here for a long time, and people call me the know-it-all of Qinghe. What strange occurrences are you talking about? Wei Wuxian replied, for example, hauntings, strange cases of dismembered corpses, clan annihilation tragedies, and so on. Not here, the doc said, but if you go onward for 2 or 3 kilometers, there's a mountain ridge there called Xinglu Ridge. I suggest you not go. Why not? Wei Wuxian asked. The Xinglu Ridge is also nicknamed the Man-Eating Ridge. What do you think? The doc answered. Oh yeah? It's haunted by man-eating monsters, is it? Wei Wuxian asked. He had heard similar rumours at least 1,000 times and had personally exterminated said things at least 100 times, so it couldn't be helped that he found the idea mundane. The doctor said dramatically, That's right. They say it's in for... Wait, what? They say in that forest lies a man-eating fortress, and there are man-eating monsters. Man-eating monsters living in there. Any intruder would be devoured so completely that not even crumbs will be left of their bones. Not a single man should be spared, without exception. Scary, right? No wonder Jinling had showed up here. He'd failed to nab the soul-eating heavenly maiden of Mount Dafan, so he had to be targeting the monsters of Xinglu Ridge this time. Wei Wuxian replied, "So scary, but if not even bone crumbs are left and no one's been spared, how do you know intruders are eaten?" The doctor was briefly speechless, then said, "Of course, it's because someone's witnessed it. But didn't you just say the intruders are devoured so completely that not even bone crumbs remain, without exception? Who's the one talking then? I wonder who's so amazing that they could witness such a scene and still come out alive to tell the tale," Wei Wuxian commented in admiration. "That's what the rumors say. How should I know?" the doctor said. Wei Wuxian continued to prod. "Then do you know the total count of people who have been devoured at Xinglu Ridge? When they were devoured? Their ages, male or female? Their names? Where they are from?" "I don't know," the doctor said. "The know-it-all of Qinghe, Wei Wuxian snidely jabbed. The doctor angrily slung on his basket pack. Rumors never cover that kind of stuff in the first place." Wei Wuxian laughed cheekily. No. Don't go, come on. Let me ask one more question. Xinglu Ridge is still within the borders of Qinghe, right? Isn't Qinghe the domain of the Ni family? If there really are man-eating monsters roaming about Xinglu Ridge, are they really not doing anything about it? Unexpectedly, the doctor didn't answer with, "I don't know," this time. Instead, contempt flashing of his face. The Ni family? If he were the Ni family of the past, of course they wouldn't remain uninvolved. The rumor would hardly be 2 days old before they resolutely raid the evil thing's lair in no time at all. But isn't the current Ni family head that head shaker? The head of the Ni clan of Qinghe had been Qingfenzhen, courtesy name Ni Mingzhe. He took control of the Ni family before he came of age upon the death of his father. The former family head, who had been vexed to death by the head of the Wen clan of Qishan, Wen Ruhan. Ni Mingzhe's approach was principled and unyielding. And he was sworn brothers with Zuojin, that is Lan Xichen, and Lun Fengzhen, that is Jingong Xiao. So basically, Ni Mingzhe is sword brothers with Lan Xichen and Jingong Yao, unfortunately, because I hate, and everyone seems to want to hate, Jingong Yao. You'll find out why soon. After the Sunshot campaign under his rule, there was a time when the Ni family almost matched the Jin clan of Lanling in power and influence. However, he had suffered a chi devastation during training and died publicly and violently, with blood bursting from his body. The one who succeeded him in his position of family head would have been his little brother, Ni Huasong. Wei Wuxian asked, "So why is he called the head shaker?" "You don't know the story?" the doctor asked. "That Ni family head. If he doesn't know the answer, he won't bother to say anything. If he doesn't know the answer, he won't dare to say anything. If you press him too hard, force him too hard, he'll just shake his head, crying, 'I don't know, I don't know. I really don't know,' and beg you to let him off the hook. Doesn't that make him a head shaker?" Wei Wuxian and Ni Huasong had been classmates, so he could say a thing or two about the man. Ni Huasong wasn't a bad person, and it wasn't that he wasn't smart. He just had zero inclination to apply himself academically. All of his smarts were spent elsewhere, in painting fans, catching feathered friends, skipping class and loafing around. His capacity for cultivation was indeed amazingly poor, and it was only with great difficulty that he'd managed to form a golden core. 8 or 9 years after juniors or of other clans of the same generation, whilst alive, Ni Mingzhe had often been anxious about his little brother's lack of progress and had been extremely strict in disciplining him. Nonetheless, Ni Huasong remained hopeless. Now that his brother was no longer around to shield him from storms and provide guidance, the Ni clan of Qinghe was declined under Ni Huasong's leadership, and rapidly. Once he came of age, and especially since he had become the family head, the various matters he had no idea how to handle, begging others for help wherever he could find anyone willing. His older brother's 2 younger sworn brothers were his favourite resources on this matter. Today he'd been complaining tearfully to yeah, I can't speak. Holy shit. Tearfully to Jingong Yao. Tomorrow he'd go sniffling and stammering for assistance at the cloud recess. It was by relying on the support of 2 great clan leaders of the Lans and Jins that he was able to, with immense difficulty, keep the position of family head. While it wouldn't be courteous to say out loud, whenever Ni Huasong was mentioned, the same phrase was written clearly on everyone's faces: good for nothing trash. If someone said that in front of me, I would fucking slap the hell out of them. Thinking back on everything that happened in the past, one couldn't help but sigh. After getting the information on Xinglu Ridge, Wei Wuxian still patronized the doctor's business. He bought 2 boxes of roug and powder, hugging his purchases to him as he returned to Lan Wangji's side. The latter still showed no intention of asking for the return of his money pouch. Without a word, they headed in the direction that the doctor pointed. A vast fir forest enveloped Xinglu Ridge. Wide, open paths wound through the lush green foliage, sorry, I can't even fucking speak. They travelled for a while and didn't run into anything unusual, but the 2 had no great expectations as such in the first place. Walking through this place was only a precaution. If a terrifying local rumour actually had any truth to it, then the circulating talk would at least have a few substantial facts. When the soul-eating heavenly maiden of Mount Dafan was haunting its area, there were clear hard facts that had been easily sniffed out. Where the victims' families lived, the victims' names, not even the nickname of Ayan's fiancé could have even been concealed. But if there was no details at all about the victims, and no information about the incidents aside from vague hemmings, I'm literally reading the same line over and over again. Oh, okay. And Hoing. Then it was most likely nothing but sensual and spurious hearsay. Over an hour later, after the aforementioned untold hardships, they finally ran into some trouble. Ahead of them were 7 or 8 figures, wobbling as they approached. Their eyes were rolled back, their clothing was ragged, and they looked as if they'd collapsed if struck by the weakest breeze. Judging by their unimaginable slowness, This was a row of walking corpses that could not be any lower in level. Walking corpses like these were only good for getting bullied by their own kind. If they ran into a living human possessing even the slightest bit of strength, a single kick could topple an entire row of them. If they ran into a child who could even run slightly fast, they'd be left in the dust in an instant. Even if one unlucky in the extreme and somehow got caught, letting them suck a couple of breaths of young energy would be fatal. Time to put your finger on every word you read. Oh my god, I can't even. How far are we away from the end of this chapter? Not that far. We are definitely going to be at chapter 6 by the end of this stream, I think. And then it's just one more chapter left until the end of this novel book. So aside from their extremely ugly looks and horrid stench, they were no threat at all. When advanced cultivators ran into them during night hunts, they were ignored in most cases, and left for junior disciples to deal with. When one went out hunting tigers and leopards, there was no point in pursuing mice, or such as the logic. When Wei Wuxian saw them walking over, he knew this was going to be bad news. He bowed his head, retreating behind Lan Wangji. Sure enough, when his queue of wobbly, walking corpses came within 20 meters of them, the moment they saw Wei Wuxian, they immediately turned around and wobbled on back from whence they came in terror, their legs moving threefold faster and more efficiently than when they had first surrounded them. Wei Wuxian rubbed his temples. He then whirled around and said, his voice trembling with terrible fear, "Heavens, Hangonjin, you're so amazing. The moment they saw you, they ran away in fear." They ran in fear because you're the fucking Yiling Laozi, the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. Lan Wangji was speechless in return. Wei Wuxian nudging him, laughing. Come on, let's get out of here. I'm not seeing any other monsters." Amazing how the locals can call this place, can talk this place up. Some cowardly walking corpses, and they become monsters that swallow even bones. The man-eating fortress must be fabricated too. We've wasted our time. Lan Wangji only moved after he was pushed a couple of times. Before Wei Wuxian could follow, from the far distance of the Fear Forest, there came the crazing howling of a dog. The colour of Wei Wuxian's face violently changed. He ducked behind Lan Wangji in a matter of seconds, hugging his waist and crouching down, shrinking into a ball. "It is distant still. Why are you hiding?" Lan Wangji said. "First, where is it? Where is it?" Wei Wuxian stuttered. "Hide first." Oh, okay. I can't even read. "Hide first, where is it? Where is it?" Wei Wuxian stuttered. Lan Wangji listened intently for a moment, then replied, "It is that black-haired spirit dog belonging to Jinling." The moment Wei Wuxian heard Jinling mentioned, he stooped up, then immediately crouched back down at the sound of the howling. Wei Wuxian said, "Such crazed howls from a spirit hound, it must have encountered something." Wei Wuxian groaned miserably, then arduously stood up on two shaking legs. Then let's check it out." Lan Wangji didn't budge. Wei Wuxian urged, "Hang on, soon, move, go on. What'll I do if you don't?" After a moment of silence, Lan Wangji finally said, "You let go first." The two dragged and pulled, stumbled and floundered as they followed the sound of the howling. They circled twice within the forest of fir, and yet the howling black-haired spirit dog seemed to elude them. No, it was nearby. Then it was far away. Having listened to the howls for so long, Wei Wuxian finally got somewhat used to them, or at the very least, he was no longer stuttering. That's a maze array here. There is. I can't fucking read. There's a maze array here. This maze array was clearly a man-made effort. He'd just declared the Xinglu Ridge rumours to be nothing but baseless hearsay, but now things were getting interesting. The black-haired spirit dog had been howling for half an incense time, but it was still invigorated. After the duo broke through the maze array, they followed its sound. Not long after, the contours of ghastly stone bunkers began to surface from the depths of the fir forest. The fortress was comprised of stone bunkers built with greyish-white stones and green vines, and fallen leaves crawled over every surface. Every bunker was constructed in a particular half-dome shape. It was as if there was a number of large bowls overturned on the ground. Stone bunkers like these actually existed on Xinglu Ridge. It appeared the rumours were not simply empty gossip. However, it was difficult to say whether this was a man-eating fortress or just what creatures lurked inside. Jinling's black-haired spirit dog was running around in circles outside the group of stone bunkers. Sometimes growling threateningly, sometimes barking loudly and viciously. When it saw Lan Wangji approach, although it backed away a bit in fear, it didn't flee. Instead, it barked at them even louder, then looked to the stone fortress. Anxious and agitated, its front paws dug on the earth so hard that mud was splattering. Wei Wuxian was in agony behind Lan Wangji. Why isn't it leaving? Where's its master? Why is its master gone? Since they first heard the dog's howls, they had not heard a single sound from Jinling, not even a cry for help. He must have been the one to bring the black-haired spirit dog here, and he must also have been the one to break the maze array. And yet it was as if a living person had vanished, just like that. "Let us go in and check," Lan Wangji said. "How? There's no door," Wei Wuxian said. There really was no door. The greyish-whitish stone blocks were tightly sealed together, without any room for doors or windows. The black-haired spirit dog howled and jumped, seemed to want to bite the corner of Lan Wangji's sleeve, but not daring to. So it went around him to bite Wei Wuxian's hem instead, dragging him out. Wei Wuxian's soul was about to leave his body. He reached out to Lan Wangji with both hands. "Lanchan, Lanchan, 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 Lanchan!" The black-haired dog dragged Wei Wuxian. Wei Wuxian dragged Lan Wangji, and thus did the dog drag the two men a good halfway around to the back of the stone fortress. Surprisingly, there was a hole there, about the size of a grown man. On the ground was scattered debris. The hole had obviously been violently blown out by a spiritual device just recently. It was pitch black inside the hole and nothing was quite visible, but there seemed to be a subtle faint red light. The red-haired spirit dog slackened its jaw and started barking incessantly towards the hole, then wagged its tail crazily at the other two. Needless to say, it must have been Jinling who had forcibly broken into this stone bunker, and he had likely met with an accident once he went in. Vichun unsheathed itself by half, its blade emitting an icy blue shimmer, illuminating the pitch-black road ahead. Lan Wangji bent down and entered first. Wei Wuxian, about to completely lose it, because of the dog, quickly dashed after him, almost crashing into him. Lan Wangji took his hand to steady him, and whether to reapproach or exasperation, he shook his head. It was obvious that the black-haired spirit dog wanted to join them. It tried to charge inside, but it seemed to be blocked by some kind of force and couldn't break through the barrier no matter how hard it pushed. And so it had no choice but to sit down in front of the hole, its tail wagging even harder. Wei Wuxian was so overjoyed he was practically ready to kneel. He pulled his hand back, taking a few steps deeper inside. The icy blue light of the sword brightened the surrounding blackness into a cold white. Only a few pages left. It's crazy. The trees of Shinlu Ridge were tall, the woods deep, quite the chilly place. And yes, the interior of this stone fortress was even more so. Wei Wuxian had entered the forest with lightly layered clothing, and the chilly wind swished through the openings at his cuffs and collar, drying the cold sweat from the dog-related fright earlier. The light at the opening had long disappeared like a candle light extinguished. The deeper they went, the more spacious it became, and the darker it grew. The ceiling of the stone bunker was round, and when Wei Wuxian kicked a pebble by his feet, he could hear a light echo. He finally could endure no longer and stopped, pressing his right hand against his temple, his brows slightly furrowed. Lan Wangji looked back. "What is it?" "So noisy," Wei Wuxian said. Within the stone bunker it was deathly still and soundless, as silent as a grave. Just so, it is greatly resembled a grave in the first place. But at this very moment, Wei Wuxian's ears told him that they were in the epicenter of a... what is that? Cacophony of noise? The noise came from all directions. Front, back, left, right, above the head, below the feet. It was like a vast ocean of whispers, rustling and faint. Hee ha ha. Then there were men and women, old and young, big and small. Wei Wuxian could even hear some odd phrases here and there, but they were fleeting, and he couldn't catch any of the exact words. It was too noisy. It really was too noisy. Wei Wuxian kept one hand on his temple while the other went to dig out a palm-sized compass of ill winds from the Qingkun pouch. The needle of the compass of ill winds quivered and faltered, spinning around twice, then spinning faster and faster. Soon it started spinning crazily. Previously at Mount Dafan, it had already been bizarre that the compass of ill winds couldn't point out a direction, but this time it actually started spinning on its own, without stopping for a single moment. This was even more perplexing, that when the needle wasn't moving at all. That foreboding feeling in Wei Wuxian's mind was growing stronger and stronger. He shouted out loud, "Jinling!" The two had already walked for a while within the stone bunker. They still hadn't seen any trace of the living. Wei Wuxian called out a few times and there was no response. The first few stone chambers were completely empty, but when they reached a deeper area, they came upon a stone chamber with a pitch-black coffin set in the center of the room. The coffin's placement was incredibly conspicuous. Despite how suspicious it looked, the entirety of its body was leaded black, the shape of it exceptionally beautiful. Wei Wuxian found it particularly endearing. He liked it and couldn't resist giving it a pat. The quality of the wood was superior, and the resonance of the pat was a solid tock-tock. He praised, "A good coffin." Lan Wangji and Wei Wuxian stood on either side and exchanged a look. Then both reached out at the same time and opened the coffin lid. The moment the coffin lid was opened, the clamoring noise around them suddenly increased exponentially, drowning Wei Wuxian's hearing like an incoming tide. Before this, it had already felt as though they were being spied on by countless eyes. The owners of those eyes secretly monitored them, discussing their every word and action, and in seeing them move to the open coffin, their agitated flared. Wei Wuxian thought of a dozen possibilities. He was already prepared to deal with the rancid smells assault. Thought that was my door then. He was already prepared to deal with the rancid smells assaulting his nose, demonic claws suddenly lunging forth, venomous waters spraying, poisonous gas diffusing, assault by resentful spirits, and so on. Though of course he hoped for the possibility he'd see Jin Ling the most of all this. However, nothing happened. Absolutely nothing. It was surprisingly an empty coffin. Wei Wuxian was somewhat surprised, then a little disappointed that Jin Ling wasn't trapped in there. Lan Wangji edged closer, and Beacon unsheathed itself several centimeters. Its icy light shimmered and illuminated the bottom of the coffin. Only then did he notice something. It wasn't that there was nothing inside, but rather the object was much smaller than the corpse he had expected, and it was hidden in the deepest depths of the coffin. Within the coffin there lay a long saber. This saber had no sheath, and the hilt was forged in gold. It looked to have quite a heft to it. The body of the saber was long and slender, the blade bright as snow. Pillowed on a layer of red cloth, the bottom of the coffin, the blade reflected that blood-like colour. Its killing aura was ominous. The coffin gave rest not to a corpse but a saber. There was truly not a single normal thing about this row of stone bunkers at Xinglu Ridge. Every step they took led them to more strangeness. The two closed the coffin lid and continued their travels deeper inside. There were several more stone chambers where they discovered the same kind of coffin. Judging by the condition of the wood, they spanned years of age, but the constant among them all was that within each coffin was a long saber laid to rest. They had reached the very last room, and there was still no sign of Jin Ling. Wei Wuxian closed the last coffin lid, feeling slightly uneasy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 pages left until chapter 6. Lan Wangji observed his frown and his silence. After a moment of deliberation, he placed his guqin atop the coffin. He raised his hands, and a string of notes flowed from his fingers. He only played a short segment before he withdrew his right hand from the guqin, and then stared intently at the strings that were still vibrating. Suddenly the strings convulsed and played a note of their own. Inquiry? Wei Wuxian asked. Inquiry was a famous song composed by the forebears of the Lan clan of Gosu. It was different from evocation, in that it was used in circumstances when the identity of the deceased was unknown and there was no medium. One who wished to pose an inquiry made it known through the guqin's melody, and with inquiry serving as its conduit, the answer of the deceased would be transformed into notes and plucked upon the strings. I don't have any water with me. It's great. I'll get some after the stream. When the strings moved on their own, it meant Lan Wangji had successfully gained an audience with one of the deceased within the stone bunker. Next, both parties would engage in a duet of question and answer through the language of the guqin. Guqin language was a unique and secret cipher of the Lan clan of Gosu. Although Wei Wuxian had dabbled in many subjects, they were nevertheless things he could not wrap his head around, and guqin language was one of these. He said softly, "Han Gongjun, ask them for me. What is this place? What's it for? Who built it?" Lan Wangji was proficient in guqin language, and without heeding Without needing to think, he strummed a few clear notes. A moment later, the strings played on their own a few times more. Wei Wuxian quickly asked, "What'd it say?" "Do not know," Lan Wangji replied. "Huh?" Lan Wangji explained hurriedly. "It said, 'Do not know.'" "Get some water? I will after the string, don't worry about it." Wei Wuxian stared at him and suddenly recalled a certain conversation regarding whatever many years ago. He rubbed his nose, feeling miffed. "Look at how much Lan Chan's grown. He's even learned how to talk back to me now." The first question was unsuccessful, so Lan Wangji played another verse. The strings responded again, and it was still the same two clanging notes from before. This time, Wei Wuxian understood the answer as "do not know" again. He pressed him. "What did you ask?" "Cause of death," Lan Wangji replied. Wei Wuxian said, "If they were blind-sighted by it, then it certainly is possible for them to not know their own cause of death. Why don't you ask if they know who killed them?" Lan Wangji raised his hands and strummed the strings once more. However, the response was still the two clanging notes, "Do not know." An imprisoned soul who did not know what this place was, did not know their own cause of death, and did not know who killed them. This was the first time Wei Wuxian had met such a clueless deceased. His mind turned, and he said, "Then switch the questions to something else. Ask them if they're a man or a woman. They have to know that at least." Lan Wangji played accordingly. After he withdrew his hands, a different string flicked with force. Lan Wangji translated. "Man." "Finally, something they know," Wei Wuxian commented. "Continue. Ask if there's a boy about 15 years old who came here." The answer, yes. Wei Wuxian then asked, "Where is he now?" The strings paused for a moment before giving the answer. Wei Wuxian quickly asked, "What did he say?" Lan Wangji turned solemn. He said, "Right here." Wei Wuxian was stunned into silence. Here? Here should have meant this stone bunker, but they had searched the whole place and hadn't seen Jinling. Wei Wuxian said, "He can't lie, can he?" "He cannot when I am here," Lan Wangji replied. This was true. The inquirer was Hangonjun, and under his control the spirit could not lie and had no choice but to answer honestly. Wei Wuxian searched, turning the stone chamber inside out as if to see if there were any mechanisms or secret passageways he'd missed. Lan Wangji contemplated briefly, then inquired 2 verses more. After he received the answer, his face changed a little. Seeing this, Wei Wuxian quickly asked, "What did you ask now?" "His age, his origin," Lan Wangji replied. Both questions were probing for the spirit's identity, and Wei Wuxian knew he must have gotten an unusual answer. "And?" 15 from Lan Ling, Lan Wangji said. Wei Wuxian's face drastically changed too. The soul inquiry had invited was Jinling's. He quickly stopped to listen intently. He couldn't be sure, but in the overwhelming clamour, it seemed he really could faintly hear Jinling's weak cries. So basically they were talking to a soul, which is basically his nephew. So, yeah, it's great. That's why their faces changed when they heard about it being 15 and Lan Ling. Lan Wangji continued the discussion. Wei Wuxian knew he must be inquiring about the specific spot, and he stared at the strings, waiting for Jinling's answer. This time the response was fairly long. Once Lan Wangji finished listening, he turned to Wei Wuxian. "From where you are, face southwestward and listen to the sound of the strings. Move 1 step forward with every note. Once the sound ceases, he will be before you." Without a word, Wei Wuxian turned to the southwest. Behind him came several stroms, so he took 7 steps. However, there still was nothing in front of him. The strings still plucked, but the intervals became the notes were growing longer and longer, and he was thus also walking slower and slower. Another step, 2 steps, 3 steps. He walked 6 steps before the sound of the guqin finally fell silent and the strings no longer strummed. And yet, what was before him was only a wall. This wall was built from greyish-white stone bricks, and every block was seemingly stacked. Wei Wuxian turned around. He's inside the wall? Bichen was unsheathed, and 4 streams of blue light swept past, carving the overlapping lines that resembled the character for well neatly onto the wall. The 2 rushed up and started tearing apart the bricks, and after removing several of them, a large swath of black earth was revealed. So there were 2 layers to the walls of this stone bunker, and between the 2 layers of stone bricks there was a vein of earth. Wei Wuxian dug out a large dirt clod with his bare hands, and in the blackish mud there was a human face with its eyes tightly shut. It was the missing Jinling. Nephew, rip them. He's not dead, don't worry, it's fine. It was the missing Jinling. Jinling's face was sunken into the earth, and the moment it was revealed, air rushed into his mouth and nose. Instantly he started gasping with vigor. Seeing he was alive, Wei Wuxian was finally able to relax. Jinling's life really had been hanging by a thread. If not inquiry wouldn't have been caught his soul, as it was about to leave his body. Thankfully, he hadn't been buried inside the wall for too long. If they had delayed for another quarter of an hour, he would have suffocated to death. The 2 hurriedly dug him out of the wall. Who would have thought they'd pull out mud along with the carrot? The moment Jinling emerged from the earth, the long sword on his back hooked onto something else too. An arm decayed to nothing but eerie white bones. Lan Wangji laid Jinling down on the ground and felt for his pulse to administer aid. Wei Wuxian, on the other hand, picked up Bichen's sheath and skillfully prodded and dug along the bone arm. Not long after, a complete skeleton appeared before him. This skeleton was in the same position they had found Jinling, buried inside the wall, still standing. The ghastly white bones were a stark contrast to the pitch-black mud, piercing to its eyes. Wei Wuxian dug through the earth and tore off another few bricks, and sure enough, after rooting about, he discovered another set of bones nearby. This set hadn't rotted completely just yet. There was still flesh attached to the bones, and even some dishevelled ebony hair on the skull. The ragged clothes were cherry red. Evidently this was a woman. She wasn't standing though. Her posture was bent at the waist, and the reason she was bending likely involved the 3rd set of corpse bones curled up near her legs. Wei Wuxian didn't dig any further. He backed up a few steps. The clamouring noise in his ears was tempestuous and insolent like the tides. He could practically be certain now. The thick walls of this stone fortress were stuffed full of corpses. Above the head, below the feet, southeast, northeast, standing, sitting, lying, crouching. What exactly is this place? And we have now reached Chapter 6, The Malevolent. There is Chapter 6 and 7 left. How big is Chapter 6? Okay, it's an interesting chunk. And then I'm guessing 7 goes all the way up to here. Okay, so yeah. 7 is a little bit bigger than 6, but it's not that bad to be fair. But yeah, we have now entered chapter 6, the Malevolent. So yeah, that concludes today's stream, and we've successfully got through that chapter. So yeah, we now know that the arm was pointing in the direction of either where the perpetrator who sent it is like pointing it towards, or if it's pointing towards the rest of the body parts. Now Wei Wuxian and La Wenji are on a mystery, or following a mystery, so that they can find out what is going on with the arm, what it's pointing at, and see where it leads. Thankfully, they managed to get Junling back before he died, basically. Okay, we also have Jade and Argente as well. Okay. I'm upset. However, well, to be fair, from this, we can get Asta, Serval, or Natasha. Damn those legs, Jade. Holy shit. Who is doing that? Who is Argentine kneeling in front? Interesting. But yeah, lol. Travel log? Oh, there's an aptitude showcase for this. Okay, that's fine. Before he basically became human, cementing the walls. Yeah, that's basically it, yeah. But I think that will be it for today's stream. We'll continue next Wednesday for chapter 6. It's Thursday tomorrow. I don't know what's happening tomorrow. I also get paid tomorrow, so I might try and find a motherboard and see if I can get that. So, if I don't stream tomorrow morning, it's mostly because I'm trying to collect a new motherboard for my new PC. If I do, then that just means I can do it. It's fine. I don't know what to stream though. I don't know whether to stream Honkai Star Rail, Mass Effect, or Sims, COD, Valorant. I don't know. We'll have to see. But the mess of Argentine in front of Jay's legs. Oh my god, yes. Yes. But yeah, that will do for today's stream, and an ending to chapter 5, going on to chapter 6. So I hope everyone is intrigued about what's going to happen in the next chapter. I already know what's going to happen anyway, but yeah, I hope you had a good stream today, guys. I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, depending on where you are in the world. Vashesh, thank you once again for stopping by. I appreciate it. And I think that will be the end of the stream. So, until the next one, guys, I will catch you in tomorrow's stream. Will you put a 5-star motherboard? Yeah, thanks, Vashesh. Alright, I will catch you guys in tomorrow's stream. So until then, I will see you all later. Bye everyone! Bye Vashesh! For anyone that doesn't know what the fuck I'm doing, I just fucking screwed up my shit. So I apologize and bye!